Oh.
Genius billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Why so serious?
I wish I knew how to quit you.
You talking to me?
Life was like a box of chocolates.
You can't handle the truth.
I see dead people.
Say hello to my little friend.
Here's Johnny.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll be back. I got you! I got you! Take that, you friggin' psycho! I got you!
Hey, welcome everybody. It's not Thursday. No, this is a bonus show. What? We're doing our first bonus show, boys and girls. And what better movie to discuss than the biggest movie in the world right now, The Batman. We have given you guys, the viewers, a week's, by the time this is released, more than a week worth of time. So heads up, this is going to be spoiled the F out of. So if you have not seen The Batman, turn us off, come back after you watch it. Because spoilers. First of all, we don't need to do a whole regular routine, but how is everyone? Is everyone doing okay?
Doing pretty good.
That's good. It's good. It's late at night as we're recording this, so we won't keep this too long, although heads up, I am going to be long-winded. But I can't help myself because it's Batman, so I have opinions. Who would like, we're just going to dive right in because we'll do our regular news and all that thing on our regular Thursday show. So who would like to start first? We're just going to talk about The Batman.
I can go if you want me to.
Yeah, do it.
Seth
Okay.
volunteers.
So I have seen this movie twice now. I loved it a lot the first time I watched it. I went in kind of cautious because I didn't really know how I was going to feel about a lot of the creative decisions that Matt Reeves was doing with it. Like he was saying it was like a Kurt Cobain Batman Bruce Wayne. I was like, that just seems weird to me. I don't know how I feel about that. I wasn't sold on the suit or the Batmobile for that matter. I just there's a lot of things that I wasn't just completely sold on, but I had faith in Matt Reeves to do something good with it. And man, did he. Like he blew it out of the water. This movie was way better than I thought it would have been. And I loved absolutely every performance in that movie. They were all outstanding. I can't even pick a standout because they were all on equal playing fields, in my opinion. It's just, I couldn't believe how much I really liked this movie. Robert Pattinson is my new favorite Batman. This is, well, it's not my favorite Batman movie. And that's simply because I love the Tim Burton movies so much. This one is an extremely close, technically third place. And the only reason it's not my favorite is because of the runtime. Now, it's not a long, lengthy feeling 3-hour movie. But it's 3 hours, you know, it's a kind of like a slow burn, but it's not like a typical slow burn. It's a Batman slow burn, if that makes any sense at all. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and the only reason it's losing any points is because of the runtime. Yeah, bravo to everybody. Absolutely amazing job. I cannot wait to see the sequel, and I might even go see it in the theater for a third time. I'm not sure yet, but off to whoever's next.
Who wants to go next? You want me to go next?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to be the varied opinion of this entire group. I already know it. So I'm going to disagree with Seth in a lot of what he just said. So please don't anybody cancel me or disown me or hate me for the rest of your life. So this is a very slow movie. And for me, at least, I felt that 3 hours. There was, like Matt said, there's going to be entire spoilers. So there is a scene where Batman and Gordon are at the police precinct, and like Batman obviously punches Gordon, blah, blah, he's trying to escape. So up until the start of the film to that very defining scene, for me, it was incredibly slow. And it was not what I anticipated going into the movie. Let me kind of like rewind because I want to tell my initial thoughts. Going into there, and when they first announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman, of course, I grew up with Twilight. Twilight was my teenage high school stuff. So of course, Robert Pattinson holds a sweet spot in my heart. So when they announced Robert Pattinson, I was like, oh my God, like, whoa, that's definitely like a turning point, a different kind of actor going into that role, because before Christian Bale, who else, Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, all this, it was a different going into it. It was, this is actually an actor that for me, I've seen films as a teenager growing up. I can't really talk about other Batman films because I'm not like a diehard, like other individuals in this group. Like I can't really say that, Michael Keaton's my favorite, blah, blah, blah. My favorite Batman film is The Dark Knight Rises, right? Yeah, with Heath Ledger, right? That one is my favorite. Seth, so what were you gonna say? What?
It's just The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight. Yeah, whatever. What is it called? Doesn't it have like a second part to it?
The one with Heath Ledger was just The Dark Knight. The third movie was The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so that film for me in itself is so iconic because there was nothing quite like, Why So Serious, that Joker. For me, there wasn't. In my, I mean, you weren't in high school at this point, Seth, so you don't really understand like the impact and the significance of it as a teenager growing up with it, because to me, that's what it was. I owned the shirts, seeing the movie 3 or 4 times in the theaters. To me, that's Batman, and that's like a true Joker Batman story right there. So there was a lot of going to this. I really felt the Dark Knight jive going into this thing, and I was like, wow, this is so, I feel the emotion of it. I feel that kind of stuff. So I was really excited for this. And really excited for Robert Pattinson, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fast forward. I'm so sorry because I'm going to ramble because I have so many thoughts going on with this. So I'm probably going to be a lengthy review too. Sorry, you guys. Sorry, Dan. So here we go. Up until that point in the film with the police precinct, I really was not feeling it. I was a little disappointed because I felt like, one, it was so dang slow. And it did not capture my attention the way I wanted it to. I sat there feeling a little, like it was just slow. And that was probably at that point, an hour and 25 minutes in, maybe like an hour in. And I'm just like, geez, Louise, sitting here like thinking, is anybody else feeling the same way? And of course, like I can't talk to anybody because like Matt's sitting to my side, Dan's sitting here. They're all just like, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm the only one thinking this. And Matt's just like as quiet as a mouse, like just concentrating. And I'm like, oh God. Anyway, so, and then right after that point, I think is when Batman encounters Oswald and they do that car scene. Now I will say that car scene chase was hands down the best part of that movie. I've never seen anything quite like that in any film. It had me on the edge of my seat. I was so entertained. And I was like, okay, this is what this movie should be about. This is the energy that I should see throughout this whole entire film. And looking back and thinking about that, I get why it's not, because it's supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be a slow burn, like Seth said. you're getting into the first years of Batman, and you're supposed to see the struggles, you're supposed to see, you know, the problems that he comes about in a real life kind of stance. Because some of the other Batmans we've seen, it's been like silly kind of ways, like Batman saving the city, you know, all this kind of stuff. This is real gritty. This is like, for me at least, it was like real life happening kind of Batman. And I really appreciated that. And I was like, dang, okay, so now we're moving forward, we're pacing in this movie. I will say that there was a standout for me in that film, and that was Colin Farrell. I feel like he blew everyone out of the water. And he wasn't even like, I want to say like the major points of this movie, because that would be Robert Pattinson, Selena Kyle, blah, blah, blah. And that makeup, the costume, his acting, I mean, you couldn't even tell that was him. And I was like, this is magnificent. This is a person, an actor transforming into the character. And I can't even tell. I was like blown away. I was like, I hope he earned some kind of award for this, because I was sold. And that makes me even more looking forward to that Penguin series that they're coming out with too. I'm excited for that. So, okay, I'm trying to get my little thoughts together. One thing I really loved about this was the score. There's this Batman song, what is it called? The Batman Halloween Night or something like that. That's like the theme, the score that was composed for Batman, like his little theme song. That was wonderfully done. And then like there's these scenes where where Batman, like he's in the Riddler's apartment, like when they finally get there, and he's looking at this, and the scene is like, the music is slowly playing in the background, not too loud, but it's a little subtle, but it's wonderful, because it plays into, like, you get the entire, like, it's like his face and upper torso, they're like filming, and you're just like, oh my god. It's like, yeah, that feels like Batman. That feels like a Batman score right there. I was like, if I ever thought like to compose a Batman, I was like, that's what it would be. So I would say something about, say that score was perfect. What else? I'm trying to think. I did not care for Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle. I feel like it could have done, I know it's important to the movie itself, but I did not care for it. I did not care for their chemistry. I did not see it at all personally. I felt like, I don't know if anybody else feels this, but I have no idea. I guess we'll find out. But the kissing for me with Batman and Selena Kyle was unnecessary. It added absolutely nothing to the film. And it's like, it happens like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, God, why do we need that? That's so unnecessary. Like, why can't Batman just save the freaking city and Selena Kyle just like go F off, you know? Because I was just like, you don't need to be here. I did not care for her character. I did not care for her interpretation as Catwoman. It was just, to me, it was meh, you know? It just, there was nothing convincing or significant about it to really remember. What else? I was a little disappointed with Paul Dano's character. See, I'm gonna probably get so much hate because I'm just rambling on. I don't know. I feel like and this goes back to Heath Ledger. There is so much, when you're going into a Batman villain, you're entering this role. Heath Ledger, for me, sets a bar for these villain roles. And to me, yes, Paul Dano was creepy. I just don't think he reached that Heath Ledger bar. And I'm not really sure if anybody ever will, in my opinion. It wasn't as convincing to me as a villain, I guess. What else? I did not, and this is something I look forward to for the entire film, because I love Barry Cohen. And I just wasn't jiving with the whole Joker, if that's who he's supposed to be, kind of like laugh. That kind of like turned me off. And I'm like, that sounds so stupid. Like, I'm not sure which direction they're going to take that. And here's my last point, because I'm not sure if I hit everything, and I'm sure if we banter back and forth, we'll talk about, and then I'll remember stuff. So So when you're telling me that you're going to make an emo Batman, and you're saying that you're basing it on referencing grungy, gritty Kurt Cobain, and that is your main thing to base a gritty Batman on. This Batman was not emo. When you say emo, this is not emotional. This is not emo. He's playing Kurt Cobain in his AirPods and then turns them off. That's not emo. Kurt Cobain, like, I feel like that is such a cheap way to say, hey, this is an emo Batman. Oh my God, his hair is in his face. He's an emo Batman. I thought that was tacky. I didn't like that. He was not that emotional. He was angsty. I mean, you could go more with he was angsty and that was about it, but I wouldn't say he was emo in really any regard. So sorry, you guys. This film definitely needs to be seen more than once to really take it in, because there is so much in the 3 hours to really kind of watch, think about, and I'm sure we all missed something even with a second viewing, just because there's so much jam-packed inside of that movie. So honestly, this movie right now is sitting at a 7 for me out of 10. If I go back and watch it again, it might get higher. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I'm at a 7 for Batman.
All right, I'm gonna jump in here because I feel Matt, as a resident Batman guy, he should go last. So I think you're gonna have a lot to say, and I'm looking forward to it. So as far as the Batman goes, going into this, first off, I was a lot more excited than I thought I was going to be. And a lot of that had to do with the trailers that they released. I thought that they showed a lot of promise for this movie. I was looking at the dark themes, the color palette. Oh my God, so much black and red, and I love black and red. Matt, I know you said that last night, and you're wearing black and red now. So, but as far as this goes, starting off into the movie, you're not thrown into the typical origin story type Batman. You're not looking at Batman at his peak. You're looking at Batman who's been out and about for a couple of years. He's getting experience, but he's not at his most experienced. To me, this is the most realistic portrayal of a Batman to date. Like, if somebody actually wanted to dress up as a Batman and go out into town and go take care of business, I feel like this is as close as we've gotten to that yet. And also, the portrayal of Batman as a detective, I think that is as close to the roots of what Batman should be to date. I agree with Kayla that The Dark Knight is a great film. I felt that Heath Ledger's Joker was phenomenal. I don't know if there will ever be another villain on that level, but I'm going to give Paul Dano credit. I know Kayla wasn't a huge fan, but I loved this Riddler. I was a huge fan of the Jim Carrey Riddler, but then you have this, and you have this kind of psychosis, somebody who's been brought up and been screwed by the system, that's been cheated, coming up as an orphan and pretty much grown up in this city, this corrupt city, Gotham. They did such a great job painting the corruption that was on every level of this police and justice system. The folks that you think are the saviors of the city are actually the ones that are tearing it down. And I know it was a long run time, but they did so much to paint this universe without going into the backstory of, all right, let's see how you made the Batcave or discovered a cave under your house and all this, that, and the other, which is great in the movies it's in. It wasn't needed here. As far as just the start of it, you're coming into this movie and there's this monologue that's going on, and he's talking about, how they're looking in the shadows for him, how they're scared of him. When the bat signal comes on, he can't be everywhere at once. And I don't think that a lot of the Batman movies get into that. It's like the light goes on, he's where the trouble is. But realistically, he can't be everywhere. But the fact that they fear that he could be there, is he where the people are spray painting outside the building? Is he there where the store's getting robbed? No. Is he there where in the subway trying to save that guy from getting his butt kicked by people who oddly look like Joker-esque type people that have the face cut up, like not necessarily cut, but the makeup done up like it's cut in that way. So to me, I felt like that might be a little clue, and we see the Joker character at the very end of the film already in Arkham Asylum. So something already happened with the Joker that we haven't seen. I don't know, but the fact that he's there and the fact that on some occasions he gets his butt kicked. I want to talk about, like, he has this big flight suit. It looks crazy, but it's based on a real thing, like a flying squirrel suit, right? And he's jumping off the building. He pulls the ripcord on his with his parachute, and he gets stuck on the top of the bridge, and he swings down. And he's thrown over top of the bus and everything else. I have a feeling that as this goes, because this is set up to do, I think, a trilogy. I think that's what the ultimate goal for this is to be, that as we see his character progress in these films, we're going to see this Batman character evolve. Because again, when that happens, maybe he upgrades his suit where, you know, something keeps it so that doesn't happen to him. Towards the end, they grab his cowl and they pull him and they drag him, or his cape, and they pull him and drag him. I could almost see in another film, like he has a clip or something that he can release instead of doing that. It was just little things that, because of his wardrobe malfunctioning, I just thought it was a nice touch, because it's not like he's thought of everything yet, because he hasn't encountered every problem yet. And a lot of times you see Batman, like, he's smart and he's built up to be a huge, smart billionaire, you know, everything else. But this one, he's still learning the ropes because he's still early on in his career. And I mean, God, you've got Penguin, you've got Catwoman, you're seeing Falcone, you're seeing all these references to all these different people. You're setting up for the city that's just been flooded out. My God. But I'm a huge fan of movies like Seven. I love the original Saw. I love Zodiac. And you have elements of all of this here. It is so dark. It is so grungy. It's so gritty, you know, but I don't know. I'm there for it. I was hooked. And walking out of the movie theater, I was like, I really don't know where the needle lands for me. And it's taken me some time, really, where I wanted to put this. But I love the character development of Alfred. I was guessing, like, I'm in the movie theater when they're talking about Thomas Wayne and how this renewal fund was set up and how people were being corrupt and taking money from it. And ultimately, Thomas Wayne's, against a spoiler, was involved in, I guess, talking to Falcone about this journalist who ends up killing Bruce Wayne, or not killing, I'm sorry. He's talking about how Bruce Wayne's mother was in Arkham Asylum. Apparently, she had some issues going on, and they didn't want that leaked to the press. And ultimately, the journalist gets killed by Falcone, whether or not it was intentional. And it puts that up in the air. And really, you've got Bruce Wayne that's, you know, second guessing himself. He literally goes to, I guess, arguably the person who set all this in motion, Falcone. He gets his mind whipped around a little bit too. Like, man, I can't believe my own father, my parents would do this, like Wayne name, whatever. And it was interesting to me that the Wayne name didn't mean a lot to him. It felt like up until the point where he thought his father was a murderer. Because it was like, in the movie, Alfred comes down to him, it's like, hey, we have a meeting with the accountants today, right? And he's like, oh yeah, you know, I don't want to, why do we even have to do this? And it was like, it's your name, your legacy, your family name. It didn't seem like he was interested, but when he found out that his father could potentially be everything that he stood against, it was like, all right, it was like a flip switch, or I'm sorry, a switch flipped, and you know, he's going after it. But ultimately, you know, I think in his mind, at least, he comes to terms that his father wasn't like a perfect man, but he wasn't a bad man either. And I think that helped him reconcile that a little bit. Selina Kyle. Being in this movie, I agree that I felt like the kiss was kind of forced. It did only happen once, but
they kissed twice.
No, it was once. Oh, was it twice? The second time, I don't remember. Like, towards the end of the movie, there was an opportunity for another kiss, and it didn't happen. I don't think that was necessarily something that was necessary, but in the comics, there is a romance there. So it's something they kind of left open to explore a little bit. And you could feel as they're driving off in opposite directions that there's still some kind of magnetism there. So is this the last that we'll see of Selena Kyle? Most certainly not. But again, Paul Dano as a villain, the Riddler, just the things that he set up, basically atoning for their sins. At the end, collecting a group of like-minded individuals that he has on a webpage, which are following, which honestly, this could happen. It's just crazy. If people are crazy enough and put that out there, and apparently there's a lot of folks in Gotham that felt the same way. I think it said that there was 500 and some people with the chat with him, and they all show up in the Riddler getup. It's like he's putting his idea out there. He feels that Batman's on his side. And at the end, did you guys think at the very end, like, or close to the end, where he's talking to him about Batman and Bruce Wayne, did you guys not get the impression that he knew that it was Bruce Wayne that was Batman until he's like, we almost got him? That was such a weird flip. Like, I feel like we were looking at that part through Bruce Wayne's eyes. Like he was so nervous. Like it was just, and you could feel that, like, man, how did he figure me out? But in reality, he didn't. And it was funny because the Riddler had talked to Batman about how Batman wasn't as clever as he thought he was. But in reality, the Riddler also wasn't as clever as Batman thought he was either. So almost giving each other, both orphaned, but different sides of the spectrum. One for, I'm arguably going to say light, and one for dark. But I'm going to shut up because I know Matt's going to have a lot of points to go with. I love this movie. I thought about it a little bit more after I'd gone over. I did tell these guys what my rating was last night, but I'm actually going to put this movie as a 9.5. I'm agreeing with Seth. I think this might be my new favorite Batman. It's hard to tell. I'm really entrenched with Christian Bale currently. I'm kind of interested to see what the next movie or two bring to the table, but great portrayal, a lot better really than I could have even hoped for, and really did enjoy this movie. So a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
There it is. Okay. I may not go as long as you guys went. Jeez. That was lengthy, but awesome. Okay, so I have notes on my phone, so I'm gonna glance down. I got home about 12:30 this morning from seeing this movie. And before I was in bed making notes because I was like, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to forget everything that's on my mind right now. So I made the notes. And then, like Kayla said, this is not something I think you can see once and just be done with it. You're going to need to see it multiple times to catch everything, to fully grasp everything. So much so that I was very close to going to see it tonight again. However, I did not for a couple of reasons. This being one of them, because I wanted to talk about it with you guys. So here we go. I'm going to just jump in. This movie had very little Bruce Wayne in it. In fact, it could be argued that Bruce Wayne was not in this movie at all. Almost every scene was Batman, and the scenes where he was not wearing the mask, he was still Batman. He walked like Batman. He talked like Batman. He was still Batman. And that, I gather, is intentional because he is the Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask. And he is only 2 years into this. So he hasn't learned to be that billionaire, playboy, different personality. Like, we've seen Keaton be the awkward billionaire. We've seen George Clooney be the definitely like the George Clooney that he is. We've seen Christian Bale be a perfect Bruce Wayne, and they all have their different versions of Batman. But Robert Pattinson's Batman, again, he doesn't have that Bruce Wayne mask yet. He hasn't figured out who that person is because he's so consumed with being Batman. That's why when he's walking out in the street, like Kale said, he's got, you know, the eye makeup, the shadow on from when he had the mask on, because he's ready to get in costume whenever, or, you know, or he just doesn't give a crap, you know, because he doesn't care about being Bruce Wayne. He doesn't care about being a Wayne. This movie is very real in the way that we saw it. It's the Batman has kind of had an evolution where, you know, it goes from corny, cheesy 60s Adam West, Powell, the Chang kind of thing, to the dark tone of Michael Keaton and Tim Burton, to a lighter tone of Val Kilmer, to a really back full circle, corny, cheesy George Clooney. Then Chris Nolan and the Christian Bale movies brought us into a real world, and that kind of set the tone. That did something that had not been done. It put Batman in the real world. Where Chris Nolan put Batman in the real world, Matt Reeves made Batman's world real. So, and as can be seen with the Nolan movies, not so much with the Ben Affleck, Zack Snyder movies. Those are a little different. Those kind of bring us back into like the comic book style. But the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix was very real world based. This is very much like that. This reminded me of The Dark Knight and the Joker, both. Almost more so the Joker, because it was just that real world gritty rawness, and the Dark Knight was still almost more, while it was more real than we'd ever seen before at the time, it's still almost a comic book movie, whereas this feels like it's not a comic book movie. This is a detective movie. This is a drama thriller. This is Seven. That's what this is. And I'm not faulting it for it. It's just, that's what this is. This movie is Seven. Right down to Gordon and Batman being Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and Paul Dano being Kevin Spacey. Thank you. Even to the point of turning himself in.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch that reference, I mean, he does the exact same thing, and he still has a master plan. I mean, Kevin Spacey turns himself in, and what's in the box? Paul Dano turned himself in, but he ain't done yet with Gotham. So I think we saw a character arc here with Batman. He was a person who didn't care about people. He stopped crime and did the whole I'm Batman thing, but he didn't care about the people he was saving, and the people he was saving didn't really know or care enough about him. I mean, the very first guy he saves is terrified of him. He says, "Don't hurt me, please don't hurt me." And he just kind of Robert Pattinson just kind of looks at him like, what the F is wrong with you? I just saved you. But there's not, that relationship isn't there yet. And again, because he's new at it, and because he doesn't care enough about the people that he's saving. He's doing it for vengeance. He's vengeance. If they said it once, they said it 100 times in this movie. Vengeance. It was all about getting the vengeance, but by the end of it, he's realized that holding on to that vengeance and holding on to that hate is not helping him, and it's actually backfiring. You know, when they one of the 500 people that come and attack and blow the bridge and the water and everything happens at the end there, and they unmask one of the Riddler goons and they say, "What is your name?" He says, "I'm Vengeance." Just like Batman does, and Batman has this, "Oh crap, maybe I should stop saying that" look on his face. So at so he's realizing that he should needs to let go of the hate and be better. So at the end, he starts to be. We see him, the tiny glimpse, start to become the Batman that he eventually, we all know, he will become. You know, he's saving people. He's picking people up out of the water. He's doing the heroic thing. Not that he wasn't doing that before, but in the narration that Pattinson does, he's guiding you through it and telling that he has to do better, and that he had been holding on to the hatred. And so I liked that arc of it. I initially thought that, and not in this movie, but there was some moments here where I was like, this is a trilogy. And I don't know. I have no insight to what the future of these movies hold, but I thought they're going to kill this Batman.
Yeah, I think so too.
And they may. But the more I think about it, the more I think it would be similar to The Dark Knight Rises. And I don't know if they will do that, because where in The Dark Knight Rises, even though he didn't really die, Gotham was led to believe that he had died. And then later, of course, Alfred sees him in another country and he's alive and well with Selina. So I don't know if they really will go there, because it'd be kind of similar, but maybe they will. This movie is an homage to everything Batman before it, including the movies, including the comics. It does a very good job there. There was moments that I picked up that were very Dark Knight. There were moments I picked up that were Burton's Batman Returns. There were moments of pretty much everything except Clooney and Adam West in this. When Alfred blew up, spoilers, but lived, spoilers, I thought he was going to die, and I was okay with it. This might be a little controversial. I would have rather seen Alfred die. I didn't connect with this Alfred, and that's, I think, the story, the script writing, not the actor. I thought the actor did just as good as any, but I did not connect with his Alfred because he was on there for like 2 seconds, and then he gets blown up, and then he's in a hospital room. And I didn't like Bruce was just like, "You're not my father," and he's just talking down to him all the time. Like, and I maybe it's just because of the other Batman movies and everything I've ever watched of Batman. They have this like father-son, grandfather-son type relationship. In this, Bruce is just a hatred little dick, and he tells Alfred, you're not a Wayne. Your father gave me these cufflinks, and they say W on it. He's like, well, you're not a Wayne. And I didn't like that dynamic, the relationship. But anyway, back to Alfred dying. I would think it would be interesting to see going forward in sequels, Batman be Alfredless. We kind of see that in Ben Affleck's movies because he's an older Batman and Alfred is presumed passed away, but they weren't standalone Batman movies, so you don't really miss Alfred. Or is Alfred in Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons. Yeah. So he is in there. So I don't know. So we haven't had an Alfredless Batman, right? So, okay. So for some reason I was forgetting Jeremy Irons. But I wouldn't mind seeing an Alfredless Batman. But hey, he lived, so maybe, hopefully, he'll have a bigger part in the next movie, and they can explore that relationship, especially as Bruce starts to come around and find who Bruce is. Because in this movie, he was the Batman. In previous movies, people will complain, oh, well, it's all about the villains. Batman has hardly any screen time, or, oh, Christian Bale eats up an hour of the movie before he ever puts on the costume. Don't worry, folks. You will not have this problem in this movie. Freaking Batman is in every single freaking scene, just about. The Mask, I went into it, was seeing the trailers, not digging at all whatsoever. It grew on me very quickly. I was surprised at how much it did grow on me. I wrote that this is the first live action Batman to have an F word in it. In the beginning, they dropped the old F-bomb, which has never happened in a Batman movie before. I believe it happened in the Joker movie, but this never happened in a Batman movie before. So that was just a little side note there. It was very Westerny, and I liked it. His boots cling almost like spurs as he's walking. You know, that very first scene and multiple scenes after, you know, but that first scene after, you know, the lights up in the sky and, you know, they're those clown get up guys are, you know, and then you hear the cling, cling, cling of like the spurs or whatever they are on his boots that are clinging. And it just made me, and the music behind it made me feel like, oh, this is like, it's like a Western. I like it. So the tone felt very Westerny at times. The music, as Caleb pointed out, beat me to it, was amazing. The music was the co-star here, starring Robert Pattinson and the soundtrack. So much so that on the way home from the theater, I had an hour drive and I drove listening to the soundtrack. And I listened to it, some of it again today. So I really enjoyed the score here. I'm wrapping up. I bought into Batman Catwoman. I don't think they should have kissed, but maybe once. I do think one kiss is necessary. I agree that it shouldn't have happened after that. I think the first kiss they did, I'm trying to think of when they kissed the first time.
It was at the Bat Signal when they were talking before she went and got the Casey guy or whatever.
And then they kissed the second time at the end
when got shot by the shotgun, and she was, you know, just telling him it was okay.
And she kissed him, and he was like laying there, like dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first kiss should have happened. No other kisses should have happened. And the kiss should have happened because, like Dan stated, there's a romance there. There's a history there. You can't tell a Batman Catwoman story without acknowledging that. You could have downplayed the. You could, if at times it felt forced. Like there was a scene where he takes a gun from her. He's like, "No, don't shoot him." And then like you think, are they going to kiss right now? Because it really felt like they were. And I just think like things like that you could have toned down a little bit. But I as far as Catwoman herself, I didn't dislike her. She's not my favorite Catwoman, but she's not my least favorite Catwoman. So I'm okay with her. I found her story interesting. I did not see the twist of her being, was it Falcone's daughter? That was new, as well as they took a couple liberties. They took, and I like that. You know, they made some minor changes to make it their own. They made Catwoman Falcone's daughter. They made Martha Wayne's maiden name be Martha Arkham.
Yeah.
So now we know Arkham Asylum is named after Martha, and I like that. So I like those little small changes. I love that it was a detective story. This was a 3-hour movie. By about 2 hours and 20 minutes, I was definitely like, okay, what time is it? But not in a way that I would have been had I been watching at home. The story was so enthralling and it had me sucked in that I could have sat there if I had to for probably 3 more hours. Because even though it did so much, it felt like they barely scratched the surface with this universe. And I want to see more of it. Lastly, I will end Pattinson, this is going to be controversial for some. Pattinson is Batman. He wasn't a hero. He was just a guy walking around in an armored suit, and it felt real as crap. I don't know anybody like Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne that I would believe would dress up like a bat. I don't know anybody like Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne that I would believe would dress up as a bat. But I know a lot of people that are kind of like Robert Pattinson's character, and I totally believe that guy would put on a bat suit. So when I say he is Batman, I believe he is the most believable Batman that we've had. And I know that kind of, at least for me, before I wrote it on my notes to say, was like, do I really want to say this? Because I do hold Keaton up so high, and even Bale I hold up very high. But Pattinson's right up there with him. And I think as far as movies go, Seth said that this was your new favorite.
Well, it's so tricky for me because I love both Michael Keaton movies. They're easier to rewatch because they're shorter. And that's the only reason why this new Batman is not my favorite. It's just because it's longer. But see, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I honestly I enjoy this movie more. So it's really, really, it can go back and forth. It's might as well just say it is my favorite, honestly.
So here's what I'll say, and it gets a little confusing. My favorite's always going to be Batman, 1989. I grew up with it. I've seen it more than any other movie in my life. I watch it a dozen times a year, at least. I watched it just the other day. Like, I watch it, don't even tell people I'm watching. I just turn it on. And so that's always going to be my favorite. But as far as what I think the best Batman movies go, this is neck and neck with The Dark Knight. Because I said when The Dark Knight came out, okay, well, Batman and Batman Returns are like my favorites, but Dark Knight's the best Batman movie ever made. This is right up there with that, and could be argued that surpasses The Dark Knight. But The Dark Knight still is set the tone. Without The Dark Knight, you don't have this movie, despite what other people think or don't think about The Dark Knight. If that movie doesn't happen, this movie doesn't happen. So overall, I give this movie a 10 out of 10.
Wow. I honestly did not expect that from you because I don't know if you remember, but I texted you when I left the first time and like, this is the best Batman movie I've ever seen. And you said, I doubt it, but we'll see. So yeah, it's actually exciting for me to hear that I'm not alone in my admiration for this movie.
There were things about it I didn't like, but not enough for me to deduct anything away from it. I didn't like the flood. It just seemed so random. The movie could have and should have ended when they caught the Riddler. It felt like, okay, this is getting over. It's over now. And then all of a sudden, like a whole nother movie starts. Like, oh, now things are blowing up, and now the town's flooding, and now Batman's got to save the town. Like, holy shit! There's like a whole nother movie happening, and like we got a sequel within the original. So I could have done without that. And then, as mentioned, the Batman Catwoman chemistry was. I could have done without some of their teasing. Are they going to kiss? Are they not going to kiss scenes? There's a couple teasing moments that didn't happen that I could have done without. And then a couple other small things, but overall, this was a great movie, and I really enjoy it. I want to see it again. I will go see it again, possibly tomorrow. But I'll definitely see it at least once, maybe two more times while it's in theaters. And then I think it hits HBO April May.
19th or
Like that.
something? April 19th, I think.
So yeah, in like a month or so, it hits HBO Max. So if it's on HBO Max, I imagine it will soon be available to purchase digitally, which I will do that too. So, and then I'll watch it again. It is a movie where it could be kind of conflicting. When the movie ended and Kayla looked over at me and said, "Are you conflicted?" I didn't get to answer. My answer is yes, I was conflicted, because I loved it so much, but there were things that were just so different and so things that I just didn't really care for about it. But I think the good outweighs the bad for me, and so that's where I am.
I mean, outside of Seth, that's something that I think, because my friend Sean went with us as well. We all, when we left that movie theater, didn't know how we felt on a scale of 1 to 10, how to put this movie. Like, and I think that says a lot to the universe and everything that was put in front of us. Like, it's not your standard Batman movie. It's not one that we would take our kids to go see. It's not one that, you know, has that comic book drive, just like you said. But definitely when the dust clears and if you're comparing it to a Western, when the tumbleweeds blow away, like, it definitely leaves you with an impression. So just interesting that we all felt like we didn't know exactly what it was when we walked out.
A couple quick shout outs I didn't really mention, other than Pattinson, I really didn't mention actors. Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, I loved. He might be on it. Him and Gary Oldman are very tied for my favorite Commissioner Gordon. I really enjoyed the dynamic between those two, and I think it was probably the best Batman Gordon relationship that we've seen in any movie. They were bros. They were buddies, and I like that. What's his name? Bill Skarsgård? Is that his name? Or maybe
Peter.
Was it Peter Skarsgård? I don't know who Bill Skarsgård is a guy though.
SARS, I think.
Sarsgaard.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No.
Peter Sarsgaard. I did not expect to see him in this movie. In fact, when he popped up, Kayla and I both went, wow. So I was like, okay, this got a little name recognition other than Pattinson. So I was like, okay. And then I mean, he plays a sleazeball great. He's done that in a few movies, and I like that. He was the one.
Yeah, the DA.
He was the DA who drove the car into the funeral and had the thing around his neck.
I don't know that guy. I thought he was the mayor.
Here's the thing about it, and I leaned over to Dan and I said, so now husband and wife have been in both Batman trilogies, because his wife is Maggie Gyllenhaal, who played Rachel in The Dark Knight. So I'm like, wow, when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, like, that's awesome that both of them have been in this one and in this one. So
yeah, I didn't even pick up on that, but I forgot that they were married, but they are married. You're right. And then lastly, Paul Dano, I really didn't say anything about him. Even though you don't see his face a lot, I did feel his presence was there the entire movie. You hear his voice, you see his through the glasses and the mask. Like Kayla said, there is such a high bar set that, whether I know, and I only debate what I say because I know Seth's not a fan of The Dark Knight or Heath Ledger. So, but realistically, that did set the bar. I mean, Nicholson set the bar, and then Ledger surpassed it. Whether you agree with it or not, it happened. It's a thing. He won an Oscar for it. No other actor has won an Oscar. No, until Joaquin Phoenix for the same part. He set a bar very high, and he did something different with the character that now, yes, you're going to have people kind of trying to duplicate but not mimic. I felt that's what this was, but not in a bad way. I thought that Paul Dano did very good. I thought he was creepy, and I definitely got Kevin Spacey vibes from him where, there was times where he was just like laughing uncontrollably. I don't even know if Kevin Spacey laughed in Seven, I'd have to go back and watch it, but it reminded me of that. Like he was just like, okay, this is like creepy Kevin Spacey-ish. And because the whole movie felt like Seven, mixed in with Saw and mixed in with a little bit of Zodiac, and oh yeah, there's Batman in it. So but yeah. So shout out to all those, the whole cast did great. The Michael, who does the score? I've been listening to it for 2 days. You would think I would know. Michael
Chino or something like that.
Yeah, Giacchino, however you say your name, Mr. Michael. Chef's kiss to you, sir, because that score is absolutely phenomenal. It's right up there with Danny Elfman's original 89 Batman score for me. And it's so simple. Well, so was 89. 89's bum, ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-bum, bum. This is bum, 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 just over and over. It's so simple, but it's so effective and so powerful that you're like,
it's
yeah,
like, and it lines up with like that boot walking scene
yes,
perfectly. And you're like, oh yeah, I agree with you with the boot walking scene. Like that was like, whoa, on the edge of my seat. I'm like,
It's definitely iconic, kind of like
Yes.
the Imperial March in Star
yes,
Wars
that's
for Darth
exactly what it
Vader.
reminded me of. Yes, yeah.
Did
And
you Matt, did you happen to notice like I got Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman score vibes from Zoe
yes.
Kravitz.
That's what I was when I said that I picked up things from Batman Returns. That was one of the biggest things I picked up. Whenever
Yeah, the
there was
score- like the score felt similar for both those
it
characters.
was the high pitched, stringy
Yeah.
music that was done in Batman Returns that was also done here. And it reminded me of that, so it worked for me because I was like, yes, that it feels like Catwoman because that's what I grew up as. That's Catwoman's music, that stringy, high pitched music. So,
But back to Paul Dano as the Riddler. I know my opinion probably doesn't have much weight since I don't like Heath Ledger's Joker like at all. But to me, this was the best Batman villain we've had. I think this Riddler was outstanding, and
slow it down there, son.
I that's how I feel. And to me, there's been no other better villain for Batman in his movies. So that's just where I stand on that.
I feel like those are a little bit of fighting words, so I'm not sure if we should fight next time.
I'll keep her up. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
I'll disagree on that one.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's just where I stand. Matt, how'd you like the car chase?
Car chase was good. I remember hearing about it or seeing a clip of it or something about how it was like real fire.
Yeah.
Just,
Sorry, my cat is just not
cat like fly through the air.
Also over there.
He
Batman.
yeeted him.
It was all real fire. It was done in like one take or something, and it wasn't. There was no CGI or something to the. I remember seeing a video or hearing something about that.
It did the jump, like where it's coming out of the flames practically.
Right.
Fun fact though, this movie had the exact same budget as the Black Widow movie, and the quality difference in this movie compared to that one is insane. So it shows, you can make a way better movie with the same budget. This movie had a completely like different feel, and they did a lot of stuff practically. They didn't just rely completely on CGI, which I really appreciated.
I think you gotta give credit to Robert Pattinson for that because he's doing a lot of his own stunts on this, right?
I thought I had heard that, but I don't recall. I'm sure that'll come out with the DVD stuff. But I want to say he did do a lot of his stuff, but I can't say for sure.
Also, and I know you're talking about the budget. What were we at, a $200 million budget?
Billion?
Million.
I was like, no, not 2 billion. I don't recall what the budget was. I think you're right about there.
I think what we saw, was it yesterday or today, we were looking at the budget versus what it's brought in so far. I think it was a $200 million budget. We're into the first full week plus a little bit that's been in theaters, and we're sitting at over $300 million in the box office. So definitely going to be up there.
rightfully so. Go ahead.
I want to put in one more thing because I thought about this as we were talking, when we were talking about the whole detective thing. I don't feel like it's fair enough to really just give credit to Batman as being the detective. You have to give credit to Alfred, because Alfred was a key part in getting that cipher. You know, I mean, there was things that Batman didn't see completely until Alfred, oh my gosh, was bringing it up. And I feel like that is a key part. But I wanted to say too is I'm a little disappointed too, because there was not really much screen time and you couldn't really feel the character Alfred like in a whole. It was a little disappointing. And I don't know if that's setting it up for the next movie.
On that same note though, like I think they built more of a relationship with Gordon in this than they did with Alfred, right? And that Gordon was taking a risk in his career because he's not the commissioner yet, right? He's, I guess, a detective at this point. Did they give his official title?
Detective.
Yep,
Lieutenant.
so he's not at the top yet, and he's bringing in the police force divided. Like, why are you bringing a vigilante in, and why is he handling evidence bags and all this other stuff? Like, but he's taking that risk, you know, to drive those.
Well, I think you're right too, is Batman is still viewed as a vigilante. I mean, look at the way the cops viewed him as he was walking into that room, and they're all just like, and then people too. I mean, he's still in the vigilante kind of phase. And I don't want you guys to think I hated this movie, because I definitely didn't hate this movie. It's not a bad movie at all. It's not. I just think there was just a lot going on, and it just needs I don't know, it just needs more time to process, and just another watch again, just because it was just so much to try to sit there and enjoy it. But I don't know, it definitely had some great things in it. It really did.
I'll go one further to bounce off of you. Just some more constructive criticism. Not only did Alfred help him, I mean, Catwoman basically solved the mystery of who the killer was, and you know, she brought him up to the roof and was, you know, ready to kill him, and you know, Batman didn't do that. So I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, if I'm being constructive and looking at the opposite coin of how this is a great movie, Batman didn't accomplish anything in this movie until maybe the end. And even then, I mean, you know, he got some people out of the water. I mean, because the Riddler was killing people, and the Riddler kept killing people. They kept dying. And Batman was trying to find out who the big bad, who the rat was. And well, Catwoman found that out. And so it was just like, okay, so what is Batman actually doing here? So.
Yeah. And then the Penguin was like, do you guys even know Spanish? He's like, and I love that part. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, you got the mobster dude literally telling you you're stupid.
Yeah.
So I thought that was wonderful. I don't know. I just loved Colin Farrell. He was freaking fantastic.
I think you're right.
I don't mean to cut you off. I didn't even mention him when I was talking about specific actors. Yeah. Like he obviously just, no matter how hard you looked, you couldn't see him in there at all.
Yeah. It was very well done.
Who was it that told him that, like in the end, he didn't put together what the tool was that was killed the mayor in the very beginning, the carpet pulling tool?
Policeman.
Yeah, even that.
The policeman. Yeah.
And then he looks at the policeman like, oh.
He's like, oh, I just know because my uncle used to put carpet down.
And then it's these little things that like, exactly, like he's like, I don't want to say growing up, but he's turning into this Batman character. And like, you're right, it's trial and error. It's, you know, you're learning from experience. And that's a great thing, is he's gaining this experience, and it's not all great experience. It's not all, you know what I mean? So that was great. I wanted to say something else too. I don't want to say I love this, because that's kind of terrible, but like all three of them, like Selina, Batman, and the Riddler, they were all orphans. And I like, that was, to me, I was like, oh my God, I was like, it's a movie about orphans, about each one of their struggles. And then you see them come to, you know, they come to terms with something. And then, I don't know, I thought that was, I like that too. I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot of things when you're recapping it in your mind, you're thinking of like trying to process each individual scene and thing. Like I said again 1,000 times. I mean, there's just so much, and then you're just thinking, and I don't know. It really was a very well done film.
Well,
It was.
I think it serves, like, again, the Riddler character, and this is my last statement because I know we could go on forever about this, but the Riddler is the extreme to what Batman could be if he chases vengeance.
Right.
That's how far he could end up, like, just no regard to human life, and that's, I think it serves as a foil to kind of draw the line where our Batman is and how far he's willing to go. So, but again, same two sides of the same coin.
Yes, I mean, same with Selena too, because her mother died when she was 7, so practically she raised herself. So,
Her mother murdered when she was 7.
Well, yes, her mother, she died. She was killed. She was
still
murdered.
dead.
She was stabbed. Oh no, she was strangled. That's right. Oh yeah, and also too, were they trying to allude to the fact
Falcone
that
killed him.
No,
killed her.
that's not what I was saying.
Okay.
Allude to the fact that Catwoman was bisexual? Did anyone
Yeah.
pick up on that? Okay. So it's like,
was
wait,
intense.
That's been done in the comics, so that
okay, has it? Okay.
yeah, I halfway almost expected it.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's
I'm
not
cool with
it's
it.
not been done in the movies.
Oh.
This is the first movie that it's been done in, but
Well, I mean, I didn't mind it, but I just wasn't sure if she was trying to lead him on to gain something from him. But yeah, okay.
yeah, no, it's in not all comics, but in some of the comics and graphic novels, I even own some that she is bisexual.
Okay.
And she has a partner. Like she's not Russian, she doesn't die, but in the comics she does have a partner in some of them in the earlier Catwoman days before she like goes full on like, oh, I'm in love with Batman now. So
One my last small thing I want to add is the Drifter, I think is what they're calling him, Drifter, Batman, Bruce Wayne. Basically his outfit that he wears out on town while he's waiting to find trouble to stop. I love that. I think that's just like, it's a really, really cool and new idea. You know, just him walking around, and what I can only assume is just his whole suit is underneath his oversized jacket. But there's makeup already on and his little mask up. I just think that's like, it's so cool. Like what a neat idea. And I don't know how it hasn't, made its way into the comics or any other previous movie. It's a really brilliant idea. Like, why is Bruce Wayne just chilling in his mansion waiting for this bat signal to come on? Like, I love that aspect, and I hope that it continues in some capacity in the future movies.
I love that last scene where they were in the club and like he walks in like in that like overstuffed jacket, and like he goes to like turn off all the lights and stuff, and he's just like looks like a regular dude, like an IT dude, just about to like shut off all the lights. I love that too. Like, I don't know, the aesthetic and the costume design on this too was great. It was great. I don't know. Yeah.
Nirvana has a #1 song right now because of this movie.
Rightfully a great song.
Something in the Way is the most downloaded song right now because of the Batman. So
yeah,
there's that little tidbit for you too.
Do you like the Batman or do you like Spider-Man?
It's Batman.
Yeah, right. He said Batman, but he loves Spider-Man. He has Spider-Man pants on right now.
Sweet dude, you got some good taste.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Spider-Man, and
nothing.
Seth, you said this was a better movie than Spider-Man
No Way Home.
No Way Home. Kept wanting to say Far From Home, but I knew that wasn't it. Something home. Let's all go home.
I enjoyed more.
I don't think that's fair because I don't think you can compare the two. They're two totally different movies. I gave that movie 10 out of 10.
They're totally. I'm just comparing one Marvel's biggest blockbuster of this year or last. What are you going to say? The past few months to DC's biggest blockbuster of the past few months. And yeah,
And
well,
really biggest blockbuster this year because they've pushed out all the others till
it's so
next
far.
year.
Stay tuned for our next episode where I will discuss that in the news. But yeah, two different movies completely. But I enjoyed the Batman more than I did the new Spider-Man.
You know what I think I'm going to enjoy?
Not discussing this with me anymore.
That cartoon pet thing with Keanu
Oh
Reeves.
yeah.
That looked charming and hilarious as heck. It was he just doing Home Alone there?
Mm-hmm. He loves
Home Alone 2 is his favorite movie. We watch it every single day. I'm not joking.
It used to be my favorite movie too.
Every day.
Um,
He dresses up as Kevin too. Seriously, like
kind of looks like Kevin. Halloween, parents. Kevin McAllister. Just saying, it's an easy costume.
Probably, yeah.
And you all could be the robbers.
You could be Marvin Harry. Oh my gosh.
You're being Harry.
Yeah. No, dude. I mean, I'm short, so that'd be perfect.
Anyway, yeah, no, that cartoon, I don't even know the name of it, but I saw the trailer for it last night when I watched this, and it was, what is it?
DC Super Pets.
Super Pets. Keanu Reeves, Dwayne Johnson, who
Kevin
else?
Hart.
Kevin Hart. It was just funny. I was like,
I was
okay.
confused. I was like, wait, why are they showing this at like for a Batman movie? And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. I'm already in.
Yeah, it started out. You haven't seen the trailer? Oh my gosh. Well, it played before our movie, and
I got the Batman trailer before I went to go see the Batman. I don't know why.
That's weird.
Happened both times I went to go see it.
But no, it starts off as like this puppy dog saying how it was abandoned as a puppy, and Kale's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I don't know, but it's about to make me cry." And then all of a sudden you see Keanu Reeves, or you don't see Keanu Reeves, but you see Batman, and it's Keanu Reeves' voice coming out, and I was just like, "Oh, I know what this is." And then the more you just watch it, the more you just crack up because it's hilarious. It looks hilarious. So
there used to be a cartoon show, basically the same premise. It was like all the superheroes had their own like dog or pet or whatever, and I used to like that as a kid. So I'm getting those vibes from this, and I'm there for it.
Watch the trailer. It was pretty comical.
I shall.
All right, folks. I think we've said all we can say on the Batman. We went longer than we have on some of our recent episodes.
Once it was crazy.
And what?
I actually talked for once. It's crazy.
You did. That's just, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's something that probably should be seen in the theaters, just like Spider-Man No Way Home was. And yeah. Anybody else any last final words?
Check us out at Picture This Film Reviews.
Yes, follow us, like, comment, subscribe, Facebook, Instagram, Picture This Film Reviews, and then of course youtube.com/studio29. Everybody have a great week. We will see you again on Thursday as we talk about RV. Love one another.
See you guys.
Bye.